Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sustainable Finance Podcast. My name is Paul Ellis, and I'm your host for these programs about developments in this fast-growing industry. My guest in today's episode of the Sustainable Finance Podcast is an ESG and sustainable finance consulting partner with ERM, which has been working in the global sustainability markets for decades. Sandra Carrillo Hoyos has led more than 50 sustainable finance projects funded by multilateral banks and focused on renewable energy, construction, water management, cement, mining, and forestry, which are having a high impact on the sustainable development of Latin America's economies. Hello, Sandra, and welcome to the Sustainable Finance Podcast.
Thank you, Paul, for the invitation and for this opportunity to share about Latin America.
Yes, I'm very excited that you've joined us today because we're very interested in finding out more about sustainable development and technology growth in the Latin American economies. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is to tell us about your experience as a sustainability consultant that has helped you become an expert in sustainable finance.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul, for the question. Well, from the beginning of my career, I identified my professional purpose as helping to improve the performance of companies in terms of sustainability in Latin America. After advising companies from different sectors and carrying out field work to understand in depth the context, I realized that all the plans and strategies resulted in a need for financing, whether to reduce emissions, to implement social investment projects, or to develop circular economy initiatives, among others. And 15 years ago, it was not easy to convince companies to invest their own budget in these investment projects. Therefore, when I discovered about the world of sustainable finance almost 10 years ago, I realized that this was the way to help connect business with sustainability and give progress to so many interesting projects that remained in pilots and due to the lack of financing did not scale. But beyond knowing about the subject, the biggest challenge was to translate this to companies in Latin America. And to achieve this, I was fortunate to lead a Latin American consultancy company that managed to be one of the first accredited verifiers under the Climate Bonds Initiative. To work together with this entity, with CBI and other allies, such as the United Nations, among others, or the stock markets, we managed and implemented different efforts to make this happen in the region. Almost 5 years later, and without realizing it, I had already supported more than 50 projects in the subject, many of them pioneers in their respective countries. And last year, I received an invitation from ERM to join as a partner, as you mentioned, for the ESG and sustainable finance line, which has been an excellent opportunity to amplify the impact from the origination of strategies and investment opportunities.
Okay, so in the meantime, while you were perfecting your professional skills, the sustainable finance markets in Latin America have been developing rapidly, and a lot of people, young professionals as well as students in academic work, are enrolled in programs to help them develop the expertise they need for a career in sustainable finance. How can those people find ways into the companies like yours that are producing all of this work in the Latin American economies?
Well, in my case, I was fortunate to learn about sustainable finance almost 10 years ago at the London School of Economics, fully funded by the British government, when the topic was unknown in Latin America and was not part of the academic offering. However, today, I believe that all Latin American countries already have a solid training offer on the subject. At the level of specialization or basic courses, I think that the offer have been expanded a lot due to the growth of the market in the region. However, I have also realized that there is no course or training that surfaces practical experience and the development of projects in the field, as well as listening to the need of the companies. For me, that has been the main source of learning. I think that as a suggestion for other professionals interested in this field would be to connect with their clients, have the curiosity of learning what is happening in the north of the world and all the innovation as new ideas, and connect with the need of our clients. I think that connection between the learning and the all the academic approach, that there are a lot of sources of information, is important to connect with the reality and the context of the region.
Yes, and of course, we know that some of the large gatherings that are done on an annual basis are going to be located over the next few years in Latin American countries. So give us your perspective on the evolution of the sustainable finance markets in Latin American countries and what opportunities exist today for scaling the sustainable finance markets and connecting climate mitigation ambitions with some of the employment and social gaps in these economies.
Well, definitely there are a lot of challenges and opportunities for Latin America nowadays in the field of sustainable finance. And I would like to share a bit about the evolution, as you mentioned. The first thing is that Latin America has evolved from an approach of completing environmental and social requirements or questions for major or mega projects funded by the multilateral banks, to developing sustainable finance instruments conceived to create a positive green or social impact, not only mitigate negative ones. The first known instrument in the region was the green bonds. That was the first new topic in our region. And years later, the region was evolved not only in the use of different labels. We started knowing beyond the green, also the social, the sustainable, and the sustainability linked instruments, but also in different types of instruments. At the beginning, everybody thought that we only need to focus in bonds, but later we discovered that this was possible to apply it in loans, funds, and other financial instruments, such as services or insurance lines. So I think that makes a broader picture of the market for Latin American companies, and also the importance of applying this not only in financial institutions, but also in corporates. So the variety of sectors involved in sustainable finance market has also evolved. At the beginning was very focused on renewable energy, but nowadays industries such as construction, real estate, water management, cement, mining, forestry, and others that was really far away from this topic are applying sustainable finance instruments to fund specific projects or scale their impact. And this is interesting because nowadays everybody have an ambition, defined some goals on sustainability, and this make the way to translate these objectives or ambitions into the reality. And since different sectors have been learning about the market, companies in the region have also connected different strategies with business strategies and funding by the origination of innovative projects in some topics that are so relevant for the region, such as gender empowerment. We have been leading the gender-based financial instruments in the world, because also of the gap that is really deep in the region, and also the challenge, and that's why it have been also been like a great topic in the sustainable finance market. Climate adaptation, because as a region we are high vulnerable to the climate risk. Natural-based solutions as a way to take advantage of or address all the climate challenge. Ecosystems restoration, that is relevant for the world, and is particularly relevant for Latin America due to the biodiversity focus. Water management, bioenergy, among others. So I think that there are many opportunities in the region, and also that could connect with the global funding, such as, for example, the development of new products in financial institutions that take advantage of these global trends, but also respond to the local context of the market, the investment in innovative technologies to scale the impact of green and sustainable projects, the connection also between the climate ambitions with the social gaps, as you mentioned in the question. We have a lot of gaps to close in the social aspect in Latin America, and the creation of employment opportunities in these sustainability projects have a great potential to also close these gaps. And finally, companies in Latin America that use sustainable finance instruments can access new markets also. This has been demonstrated that this is not just to fund an interesting project that I would like to scale, but also to connect with my purpose, my strategy as a business, and continue growing in the access of new funding opportunities and markets.
Yes, and of course, you're working a lot with the multilateral banking system. Sandra, could you share a couple of cases from your experience of creating successful sustainable finance instruments within Latin American economies related to biodiversity and forestry, for example?
Thank you, Paul. Allow me to share an incredible case in the Amazon of Peru, one of my favorite cases in my experience in sustainable finance in Latin America. This is a company dedicated to sustainable wood in Peru, which found a business case in this activity despite of all the challenges of this industry. This company restores the ecosystem, allocates a part of this concession to the biodiversity conservation, and uses the rest to harvest wood sustainably once its cycle ends. This is a really great challenge for Latin America. This entire business model allowed this company to enter to the carbon market, and thus have a source of repayment to issue the first sustainability bond in the stock market, accredited and certified by the Climate Bonds Initiative. And this, at the end, had a very successful result in its placement. Nowadays, with ERM, we are supporting this company to connect with carbon intensity industries such as mining, oil and gas companies that are interested in reduce their emissions, and work with this forestry company to connect the ecosystem restoration with the climate adaptation and compensation for emissions of other industries, which is a very relevant topic nowadays for Latin America.
Well, it is all over the world, as you know, how important the voluntary carbon markets are becoming as a way to provide these long-term opportunities for companies to continue doing their business as they have been in the past, but to also offset the carbon pollution by trading in the markets. And that's a great example. And I think you had another one you wanted to offer as well, right?
Yes, I wanted to share other interesting case moving to Mexico. It's a housing company, really innovative in the way that they have managed their business. They also defined a sustainability strategy at the heart of its business, incorporating the highest EDGE certification for its operation, which made it very attractive to multilateral banks and different entities. They are funded by the IFC, ProPark, among other very relevant players in the financial institutions. And together with this company, I was able to support the application of SDG impact standards. This is a new methodology to help bonds in the stock market to amplify the reach and impact of sustainable development goals. And this methodology was really interesting to apply in Latin America because we have, as I already mentioned in the previous question, so many social but environmental challenges that are very difficult to connect with objectives, indicators in a quantitative way. So this methodology helped us to make the connection between the SDGs, the business model, and how to demonstrate that they were supporting the close of the gaps of housing, the poverty reduction, and also the inequality reduction in the region through their business model and the way that they were expanding the housing in Mexico. So this is a great success story. They have been applying sustainable finance instruments for years, and it's a very, very interesting case.
This is really interesting, Sandra, because it seems like you and ERM are finding ways to integrate very new kinds of financial systems into economies that are struggling to join the larger economies in the world in development in these ways. So it's very exciting, and we look forward to, if you have anything that you can send us that's a link to a study or tells our followers more about those kinds of projects, that would be very helpful for us to give people more information that they can absorb on their own around these types of projects. So, and in addition to that, tell us where online our followers of the Sustainable Finance Podcast can learn more about your consulting work with ERM, and how can they get in touch with you to learn more about the issues that we've discussed in today's episode. For example, people might want to learn more from you about how these projects are working in Latin America.
Yes, sure, Paul. Thank you for that opportunity. Well, first of all, the information about ERM is very easy to access. Our website is erm.com, and we have a think tank in sustainability that I really recommend to follow, because we publish quarterly reports, annual trends about sustainability in different sectors that is free to access, not only for our clients, for all the world. And the website is very easy, sustainability.com. So it's really easy to access that information and to connect with myself. I am pleased to share my contact information and especially my LinkedIn site, where we can connect with different people involved or interested in Latin America sustainable finance market.
Terrific. Well, thanks very much again, Sandra Carrillo Hoyos of ERM, for joining us in today's Sustainable Finance Podcast episode. And join me again next week for another episode. And you can also find us today on our YouTube channel, in addition to our other channels. Thanks for joining us. I'm Paul Ellis, and this is the Sustainable Finance Podcast.